Hello, everyone. This is MMA Interesting Prospects podcast. Today, our guest is Absolute Combat League lightweight champion Tyler Jones. Hello, Tyler. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. And a few weeks ago, you won probably the biggest fight of your career because of few facts. This was an undefeated opponent, Brock Hammer. You submitted him, and of course, it was also a title fight. So, if you can tell me, how happy are you after this kind of performance?
Yeah, man, I'm pumped. I'm pumped about it. Brock's an excellent opponent and he had he's an undefeated guy. We are in his hometown. He was coming off of a win against a pretty big name and Derek Minner. So going into that fight and kind of knowing who we had in front of us was a big deal for us and we prepared really well for him. And it's really truly, I feel like one of the first fights in my career where what I do in the gym and the kind of athlete I am in the gym came out and was on display fight night. And yeah, so I'm just extremely excited about it. I've been feeling like for a long time that I am a UFC level talent out there, and I feel like I really got to show that a couple weeks ago against Brock.
And I think that this sport is about momentum. And when Brock defeated like UFC veteran, he got this kind of momentum. And you, after defeated him, you like take this kind of things with you. So I think that it may be like a good moment to put a really good winning streak and then like fight for the who knows, maybe the biggest organization.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely what the plan is. I've been struggling with some injuries the last couple months here, actually like the last couple years, and so taking this fight, I knew I had to get surgery after this fight on my right elbow. Nothing major. I have to clean up some like bone spurs and stuff. I can't really use my right arm. I have like 20% mobility in my right arm, even before the fight. It's worse now after like throwing so many elbows and stuff during the fight. But um, my thought process is if I can get this surgery done, and be 100% healthy for the next run I'm going to make, because I truly believe that my next 2 to 3 fights here are going to mean a lot for my career. Every fight is important, but I'm hitting the prime of my athletic capabilities here. And after a big win like Brock, it's only going to kind of scale up from here. So if I could string a couple wins together, finish next year at 5-2, I'll be I think in a really good spot to to be knocking on the door for a contender series fight or something along those lines.
And do you think that you will defend this title?
Yeah, it's all about the opportunity. I'm sure if Absolute gives me a name that makes sense, I'd love to go out there and fight for them again. Both fights I've had for them have been absolute bangers. I fought Jake Bauer out there last year, and that was a really fun fight, exciting fight. And the Brock Hammer fight, I can't tell you how many messages I've gotten telling me that that was the best fight they've seen on the regional circuit. Like, it was an absolute war of a fight, and we really kind of hit every aspect of MMA. So fighting for Victor Moreno out in Absolute is always a pleasure, and the atmosphere is always great there. I would like to try and fight back in Chicago here. I haven't fought in Chicago since like 2021, but yeah, man, whatever comes uh knocking on the door around like April or May of next year, I'm in.
And earlier this year, you lost a fight, and because it's like obvious that it's really hard in the sport to be undefeated. But after the loss, how do you deal with it? Because on the paper you did great because you won like a really big fight. But what like happened in your head after the fight on peak?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, like I'm just one of those athletes, one of those fighters that like refuses to pad their record, so I'm always gonna fight the toughest guys that I can. And Nico is a tough guy, and he was undefeated at the time, and or still is undefeated. I think he's actually fighting for the peak lightweight title either I think today, honestly, or maybe it's next weekend. But Yeah, I just wasn't in a good place mentally for that fight. I physically felt great, but mentally I was not there. I think I let life outside of the cage kind of creep in and affect my performance. And I made some really good lifestyle changes after that fight. And that fight, honestly, I'm grateful and gracious for that result. I'd never been TKO'd before. And so getting that result and having these like mental hurdles that I was working through, it kind of just showed me that I had to clean up my life a little bit outside. It's not like I was out there drinking or doing anything crazy, but just like focus, and really dying in and understanding that my time in this sport and my time to perform is fleeting. It's not always going to be here. My clock's running out. I think I still have a good solid 3 to 5 years of fighting in me, but it just kind of rang true to me like, all right, if you want to do this and you want this to be your profession, like now is the time. Like we don't have time to mess around. We don't have time to go into the cage and not want to be there. So it just yeah, I had to clean up some areas outside of my life, but I did. I feel great now, and this camp was is hard, but we just kind of continued on and got the job done.
And on Tapology, I saw that you have Muay Thai bout booked. I think that it was amateur, but did you prepare yourself for Muay Thai fight?
No, I don't think so. Is that what that says? Really? I don't know. I've never had a Muay Thai fight.
Okay, okay. So maybe it was some. Yes, yes, but I can see that it was something listed like Muay Thai bout, but it was cancelled.
Oh,
But
okay.
but also I saw that on your IG that you are quite busy in like grappling competition. I think that you will compete in like Maximus promotion.
Yeah, so actually next weekend, I do regularly compete in jujitsu and like combat jujitsu locally here. And it's funny because like all of my fights are primarily like on the feet. I try and keep it standing, but people around our area know me more as a grappler. But next weekend, I'm not competing, but I'm coaching my team. I have a team of 5 of my guys at Intercept MMA. I run the competition grappling team there, and we have 5 of our students competing at Maximus Promotions against some of the other gyms in the area of teams of 5. And Quintet is like a really cool it's a really cool way of showing jujitsu as a sport, especially in these live events. So I'm really excited that we've been a part of it. Intercept, we're primarily an MMA gym, but this is our first like outside of myself and our wrestling coach Dom. This is our first kind of step into the competition grappling scene outside of like local tournaments and stuff. No one's had super fights or anything like that. So we're really excited to kind of put our young guys out there, and it's going to be in a cage. It's going to be against other guys who are white through purple belt, and yeah, I'm really pumped to see how these guys perform. We've been working our butts off in the gym, preparing them, getting them ready, and yeah, I'm really excited for them.
And how do you like the combat jujitsu? Because I'm actually maybe I don't watch a lot of grappling, but I really like this concept of like jujitsu with open hand strikes.
Yeah, man, especially for people who there's like it's a two-way street. Like either guys who are looking to get into MMA but are not quite ready to make that jump into like full combat quite yet. It's a really good way to kind of dip your feet in and like start to feel the pressure of what a live fight could feel like, but obviously certain stipulations are in place. And then for a guy like me, it's kind of like an appetizer, right? Like I can go out there and just get a touch of all right, let me stay sharp. Let me just kind of feel again what it's like to step in the cage and compete. And the guys that I've had the pleasure of competing against, especially at Maximus, have all been very, very high level guys. Like world champion, purple belts, Kyrgyzstani wrestling guys. I actually had a match against Mike Santiago, who was in the UFC, and I was able to get a win over him. So I'm able to get like the experience of these high level matchups, but not put the damage on my body like I would in a fight, or even a fight camp, with that being said.
And right now you are with Intercept MMA, but
Mhm.
was it the first like full MMA gym that you went to?
Yeah. So I trained like at like a jujitsu gym for a while that was more like a gi based jujitsu gym, and then after my first fight, um, I went to Intercept and started training with Danny Summers over there, and just love the atmosphere that him and his wife Anna have created at the gym, and it's just a great team, a great place to be, and to watch the team grow into putting guys into the pro ranks and girls into the pro ranks and some high level amateurs over the past like 3 to 5 years. It's been awesome to see. I'm getting up there in age now, right? I'm 31, so I'm like one of the older guys on the team. So the role that I play there is different than it was when I first started. When I first started, there was a guy there who kind of plays the role that I'm playing now. Was his name was Pierre Walters. He was already a pro. He had already fought some really high level guys and had some great performances. So to be in those shoes now at the gym and be running classes and helping Danny corner, it's a cool experience. Again, this MMA is my entire life. It's my full-time job. I teach full-time. I do private sessions full-time. I fight full-time, so um to be in a place like Intercept is truly a blessing because it's very like family oriented there. It's not like there's not a lot of ego in the gym. We accept everyone. A lot of fighters come train with us and cross train with us, and we kind of have especially in the Midwest, I feel like a lot of gyms have like, oh, they're good at this, they're good at wrestling, they're good at striking, they're good at jujitsu, but we're known kind of as like a more like cerebral gym where Danny and I will game plan very heavily for people, and um, we're kind of known as a well-rounded gym, which is always cool to see.
So after when you retire, of course, not right now, but in a few years, do you plan to be like MMA coach, but coaching people who want to get to the UFC, so in the highest level?
Yeah. I think my end goal at the end of the day, after I'm done fighting, is I want to own my own gym and I want to run my own fight team and allow people to have the same cool opportunities in life that I've had. Without fighting, I've just been able to do so many cool things and have so many cool experiences just through this sport, whether it be jujitsu or MMA. Um, so I would love to be able to give that opportunity or allow a platform for that opportunity for somebody else, especially like, there's a lot of like younger men out there that just don't have an outlet and get into trouble. And I would love my gym to be a place where they can go and find some passion in life and find a way to change their lives. So that's definitely on the horizon for me. I just personally think that it's very difficult to like run a gym and put your everything into your students and team and also train to fight. I feel like it's kind of like a one or the other thing.
Yes, especially when you want to do both things on the highest level, it's probably really
Right.
tough and better to be focused on one thing and then in few years go to another.
Right. 100%. 100%. Yeah, that's the goal. Because I like I said, man, I truly believe that I am skill level wise at the level of a UFC guy. I just have to get the wins on the paper, and I think the win over Brock is definitely like a big step forward to show like, hey, I'm here. I can compete at the highest level. I went, 3 rounds in a close decision with Eli Barzilai. That's another guy who's right at that UFC level. So, I've taken these fights against these guys who are there. It's just a matter of getting the wins so I can show the world where I'm at.
And do you have a fighter from the UFC that you would like to fight? Maybe more of the like dream fight, but the fighter that you think that it would be like really cool matchup with you.
That's a great question, man. I think someone like Dan Hooker comes to mind. He's like one of my favorite fighters, but uh all of my fights are very fun to watch, and I've never seen a boring Dan Hooker fight either. So that's someone that I would like just love to get in there with and put on a show for the fans. Like I'm already not undefeated, right? Like I'm not, my aspirations are not to be the next Habib or anything like that to put forth this perfect record and die on that hill. I just want to be able to have experiences that I'll never forget out there competing, and I want anyone who's watching my fights to know, wow, that guy's exciting, or that was a fun fight to watch, and that's really my goal at the end of the day. Of course, it's winning first, and to protect myself and have like a highlight reel. I think that's a motivator as well, but to have fights like that and experiences like that to look back on when it's all said and done is my main motivator, you know, and a guy fighting a guy like Dan Hooker would be, I think, at the top of that list of, you know, just there's no way it wouldn't be boring, you know.
And I think that like many UFC legends has have like more than 10 losses, like Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, Matt Brown. So definitely you don't need to be undefeated or have have just one loss, because when you are facing the best, it's like really hard to win all of it. And in the end, this kind of fighters, of course, like also Donald Cerrone, are like definitely legends of the sport, and everybody like remember about them.
Right, yeah, 100%. And like I said earlier, you know, like it's all about, you see a lot of guys nowadays pad their records and then they get to the UFC or the LFA or these bigger shows and they get a reality check because they haven't tested themselves against these tough guys. And that's just not the type of athlete or competitor I am. I've always taken from amateur to professional the hardest fights that I could find, and it's going to pay off when I get to the big show, you know, like for instance, at least in my pro career, like the only guy who had a loss on his record was Jake Bauer when I fought him, and his pro record rather, and he was 2-1. So like he's a tough guy. He had a long amateur career, like he was game. And you know, Eli was undefeated, Nico undefeated, Brock undefeated. My pro debut was against Alex Martinez, and he was undefeated and the top amateur in Arizona at the time. So it's always the toughest guys, you know. Like I don't want to ask myself that question if I get the call to the UFC, am I ready for this? You know I'm ready for it right now, just given the you know the people that I've been able to compete against. So, um, you know, that's really the name of the game for me is just to continue to challenge myself.
And about Dan Hooker, do you think that he will be able to win against Arman?
I don't know, man. It's such a bad matchup for him. I hate the matchup for him. His because it's just the Arman's obviously going to grapple heavily in that fight. But you never know. I mean, Dan did really well against Matush Gamrat with the same type of style. But I think that Dan's is gonna have to like put pressure on him on the feet without overstepping, you know. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. I just think Arman's grappling is so high level that it's gonna be tough to push him off.
Yes, but Dan in some ways showed against Gamrot that he is able to beat a really high level wrestler, and they like Mateusz and Arman are quite similar size to themselves. So who knows? Maybe like Dan will be able to surprise many
Yeah,
people.
I'm hoping for it. I'm hoping for it. Like I said, Dan's probably my favorite fighter in the UFC. Like I love watching that guy fight. So anytime his name's across from somebody else, I'm pulling for Dan.
And outside of the sport, let's say that we are after the fight and you have more free time. Do you have any like additional hobbies, like not connected with anything like
With anything
around,
MMA.
yes, fighting?
Uh yeah, like I like graphic design a lot. I do a lot of graphic design on the side. You know, right now, like I said, like it's a as I have this time away from competing myself, I really focus on the people that I'm training instead. Like my coaching over the next couple months will be really like the main thing that I um lean towards, you know. But yeah, graphic design is something I spend a lot of time on. There was a point in time where I was associated with a company, MMA company, where we made t-shirts for pretty much like almost every like landscape in the MMA realm. Like we had guys in Pittsburgh, we had guys in Chicago and New York. Like I was making everyone's t-shirts almost every weekend. We had someone's t-shirt that they were fighting in. So even like a lot of the guys that you have on your show, I recognize their names as I made their shirts back in the day. So um, they're not around anymore, but that's when I really started to get into graphic design and t-shirt design and stuff like that. So I still dabble in it a little bit. It's kind of just like a hobby in the free time, you know.
But probably having something like this is also good for your head because sometimes fighters are all in the sport, which I think that also has some like advantages. But probably for your head, it's better just to forget about the sport for just even for a few hours.
Yeah, it's important, right? Because like I think that's something I've learned over time is that like it can't be on all the time, at least not for me, because that's when like you get in there and like you're almost like exhausted of thinking about it all the time, and then your performances show like, oh, like I don't even want to be here, you know. So like having these things to break it up, or like a relationship, like my girlfriend has been very supportive for the throughout this last fight camp, and this was like our first fight together. So she like it was obviously like a big one too. So she had to like really feel the stress in there. She was a big fan of the sport too, and just to have someone like that, like you know, on your by your side, it helps kind of break things up and allows fighting to just be like, yeah, that's what I do for work. You know what I mean? Like that's my job, but I have a life outside of this. I can go on dates and you know, just like the little things in life. I think in the past I had overlooked enjoying things outside of the gym because I know that fighting is always kind of the main priority, but it almost helps me more to just think about real life and actual life outside of the cage, and that kind of makes me want to fight more, makes me want to have better performances. That and journaling, I journal a lot too. um just try and just keep the thoughts down on paper so they don't echo in your head, and that's I think probably one of my biggest criticisms of myself in the past is just I've overthought a lot about performances, techniques, game plans, and overthink to the point where I get out there and I can't cash in, or I can't equate. So journaling and stuff like that really helps. Just get it on paper and leave it there. That's where it stays, you know.
And do you do it like every day?
I try to do it every night. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you don't get to it, but I try and do it right before bed, whatever thoughts were echoing that day. And, you know, it's never like I never read it back or anything like that. It's just get it out. Like whatever's on the mind, we write it down and we move on. And I've noticed a big help from it.
So when you write it down, after a while you like get rid of this piece of paper, or do you like collect them
No,
in some?
I have it like in a like a journal, like a binder almost. So no one could ever read it though.
And like MMA on the highest level definitely give fighters a chance to travel to fight in different countries, different part of the world. And do you have maybe one country or one place that you would like to fight in?
Yeah, honestly, man, like even I'm an old head. I've been a fan of MMA since I was in middle school, right? And I'm 31 right now, so I've been watching for a very long time. And my dream, even like beyond fighting in the UFC, is to fight in Japan at the Saitama Super Center. Like that's always been my main goal, my main dream is to fight in Saitama in Japan. So like Ryzen or any of these guys, if they're out there listening, like I would be elated to come fight for you guys. Um, yeah, that's always been a bucket list of mine is to fight there. I loved Pride so much. I still watch Pride events all the time, and you know, to be in the ring in that arena and all the history there is just something something that I just feel like I need to accomplish in my career.
And in Japan, the crowd is really quiet. There is not a lot of noise. So it's like for the like shows in the US or in Europe, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's different. They like only react when something big happens and then they come back down to being quiet. I love that though. I think it's a different experience, a different way of watching it. Um, you know, I do love a lot of my fights, even at amateur too, were in like my opponent's hometown. I always traveled. I didn't stay at home. I always, like I said, tried to take the tough fights. And a lot of times, right, those fights are, hey, we got this guy. You want to come in and be the guy they fight. So I enjoy doing that a lot too, like just quieting down an arena, shutting up an arena. I've been able to do that a few times in my career, and obviously we just did it a couple weekends ago against Brock in his hometown. But that's another cool experience to have. I do love to go around and fight in other people's backyards and kind of really like win over the crowd, if you will.
Okay, Tyler. So many thanks for the time and for conversation. I hope that your next year will be as successful as your last fight, because I think that definitely the fight showed that you are really good in all of areas of the sport, and probably you are just few wins from getting to the really big show. And I hope that next year will be like the continue, like maybe not the beginning, but like the continuity of the process.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. And next time I fight, dude, I need the under the radar prospect that's fighting this weekend. That's me. Next time I fight, I want to be on there. I always see the guys that you're posting and either like we fought or they fought someone I fought, and it's always close. So yeah, I look forward to continuing this journey. And yeah, man, again, I've been a fan of the show. I've been a fan of your page for a while. I've seen a lot of guys come through and just thank you to you for highlighting the regional MMA scene and really the world, right? Like anyone outside of the UFC, you've either had on or featured on your page. So it's guys like you that give us the platform to kind of take that next step. So many thanks to you as well.